Hi, this is Chris from the Stephanie Miller Show. Please enjoy this exclusive clip from Political Voices Network.
How does this new witness, well, not new, but he's, we're finding out all this, confirmation from, what's his, Butler. Um, Talking about, why he is such gold as a witness. One analyst is saying he's a person who appears to be unbiased. He doesn't seem to have any reason to, or axe to grind with Donald Trump. He's a 2 decades long employee of Donald Trump and the Trump organization. He does not appear to be angry or resentful towards Trump. Finally, if you look at his testimony, you look at the indictment, he appears to be well supported, corroborated by documents, by certain text chains that are referenced in the indictment, by testimony of some of the defendants themselves, Walt Nada and Carlos de Oliveira. So this is really the kind of witness you want to build around as a prosecutor. What does this do to the documents
he
case
is
now?
solid gold, and mainly for 2 reasons. He comes from within the Trump fold, where he was best friends until recently, because he chose to tell the truth with Oliveira, the other defendant. So I mean, he really is clearly the opposite of someone with an axe to grind. But then second, his testimony is really vivid because what he notices is a complete departure from normal practice. So it really stands out. Normally, he would just be taking suitcases, helping Trump move, and all of a sudden, he gets a furtive call that from now to that day saying, can we please borrow the Escalade? And all of a sudden, banker boxes show up, which never do. So the fact that it's so different and distinct from what happens makes it 100% clear and credible that the very day they're supposed to produce things, they are, spiriting away the documents the subpoena is called for to put them in a plane and fly them up to Westminster. That's deathly testimony for Trump.
Yay.
And Oliveira and Nana, by the way.
Yay. Okay, E. Jean Carroll, before we go. Trump has now defamed her again in 2 different jurisdictions. One in Manhattan. So that would be in front of Lewis Kaplan, who has already adjudicated the 2 previous ones that
he's seen this before, right? Yeah.
Okay. And the other is in Georgia. So he defamed her again in Georgia. That's the same court where federal judge Stephen Jones refused to remove Fulton County District Attorney's prosecutions of Trump co-defendant Mark Meadows and others from the state to federal court. So I don't know that not either of these places are going to be a friendly court. What happens now? Do you think? If you're Robbie Kaplan, do you sue again?
Robbie Kaplan.
Yeah.
No relation, her lawyer, but I mean, the guy's got Tourette's or something on this topic. He did the exact same thing. He said she made it up and I never knew her. It's an open and shut case. I mean, the falsity's already been established and the intent's already been established. So on the one hand, they have this complete layup of a case, and what did they say last time to get him to 90 million? What will it take to make him stop? Well, obviously 90 million isn't it. But there are strategic reasons, and E. Jean Carroll's 80 years old, and does she really want to go through all this again, etc. But did he totally defame her again? You bet he did. And he just can't stop himself. We'll see. I think maybe Robbie Kaplan has said it's 3-year statute of limitation. Don't sleep easy, Mr. Trump. But I don't see they're bringing the case tomorrow.
You've been monitoring this ridiculous Robert Hur testimony. Are we calling it testimony? I remember Mike Johnson called Bob Mueller's testimony a waste of the American people's time. But apparently, this and I mean, first of all, so he resigned yesterday, Bob Hur, right? So that he could be coached by these Republican lawyers to get ready for today. What's your impression so far?
Yeah, so that resignation step is part and parcel of what, as a prosecutor, makes your skin crawl about this, because, it's our job, it was my job, to bring charges or not bring charges and then shut up. But it's in the inevitable part of the politicization of the process that you have these reports and they go back and forth. It's a classic, sort of scrum up there where the Democrats are explaining the very obvious and significant differences between Trump and Biden, and the Republicans are trying to say Biden should have been charged as well, but sort of lost in it. Her sort of seems to stake out a middle position where he said, I didn't charge him, but I had to talk about his memory. He didn't have to talk about his memory, and the important thing about the hearing that has happened in the last 24 hours is they released the whole transcript, 5 hours. I don't know if anyone out there has been deposed, but man, trying to keep things straight, especially as a vice president, we're talking foreign policy and personal tragedy and all kinds of politics, etc. So it seems clear from the overall transcript, pretty good pieces in both the New York Times and Washington Post, that her kind of called out little snippets where Biden is foggy. Just for example, as Trump was in his deposition when he didn't remember what dates he was married. That doesn't mean he didn't remember it, but in a setting of a deposition that happens. It was wrong of her, I think, to put that and in the report, and it made it seem kind of front and center.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's what the press covered, and that's why I think he quit. So he can talk about stuff like that obviously a prosecutor, it's not their job to be talking about it. In fact, it's their job not to be talking about it.
Not to mention that he identified E. Jean Carroll as his wife, Marla Maples.
Right.
So,
exactly. I know that,
But,
I'd like to say that's Trump, but man, if you've ever been in a deposition, it's crazy. There's just all kinds of stuff coming at you. And you're,
And he also was in the middle, as we know, Harry, of this Middle East crisis the day after October 7th. And as we were saying, he got the date of his son's death right. He said May 30th. It's like a lot of us might stumble on the year of some anyway, it's just so ridiculous.
It's really distorted, and and the way he slipped it in there, Steph. I think we shouldn't charge him because maybe a jury would feel sympathy for this addled old guy. The big problem in all these things is because of the special counsel regime and Merrick Garland's ultra punctiliousness. Nobody supervises. Here's a big job, but he's like a U.S. attorney, which is like I was, and you never would have this not go through chains of supervision who would say, what the hell are you putting this in here for? This is not what we do here. But they're supervisor free, and that's all kinds of problems.
Harry, don't you feel like the timing after we all saw the State of the Union is a little unfortunate for Republicans? Because, America didn't see an elderly old guy. Right. Even the right wing was calling him, Jacked Up Joe? So what,
right,
now the storyline is he's Sleepy Joe again, right?
Right. I mean, I think, and that's why they rushed it to market. He quit just yesterday. He's been coached. They're trying to do their best to blunt it. But you're right. Everyone has old friends or relatives. What are they like overall? And we saw it in the State of the Union. So I think it's true, but it's such a polarized country. If they can get that soundbite to sort of hook on again like a carbuncle, then they're off and running. But
extra points for the word carbuncle.
Yes.
No one's ever used the word carbuncle on the show. I love it. So Trump on Monday sought to delay the New York election interference trial, claiming presidential immunity. I know, I hear legal experts everywhere laughing. It's just like a laugh track. But I mean, the problem is, this delay in one way or another has worked his whole life. Obviously, one analyst saying none of the conduct here involves the presidency. It's about the campaign, his private business. And in any event, Trump waived his immunity, as Judge Hellerstein found in an opinion last July that Trump dismissed his appeal on. Here's the July order from Hellerstein noting Trump waived presidential immunity. Although Trump initially appealed, he subsequently dismissed that appeal. So he's already tried this and lost. It won't work. First of all, I think we don't even have to be a lawyer to go, this is not a presidential duty paying off a porn star, correct?
I mean, it's funny. What he says is first of all, let's remember, this conduct is pre-presidential mainly. That's when he has the affair. That's when he does the scheme.
Thank you.
And what he's really saying, and no court has ever held it within 6 miles of this, is because he was immune, you can't even introduce evidence of his official acts. No, quite the opposite. If he were right, maybe you couldn't charge him with it. But he's really wrong. Sort of 6 ways from Sunday, Steph. It's not really presidential conduct. It's crazy to say you can't put in evidence. There is one problem. It's the same one we saw on the January. Oh, and he did waive. But that's a hard thing for a judge to do in this kind of case. But on the other hand, it's immunity, and that's the thing that it can give you. It has in the January 6th case an automatic appeal before the trial starts. Normally, you have to do all your appeals after.
Yeah.
So in his basic two-track thing where his merits suck, but he wants delay, immunity he thinks of it as golden ticket, and it has been in the January 6th trial. The question is whether Judge Merchant here will say, you have such a lousy claim, I'm not even going to let you sort of bring it on appeal. But, you know, at the end of the day, it can't succeed, and especially this point, somehow you know, it's just as you said, the pressure campaign, that is what he's calling it, against Cohen, trying to, you know, that could somehow be an official act. It's a dead bang loser, but can he squeeze a few weeks out of it? That's his hope.
Right, but you think this is going to go forward on track in a couple of weeks?
That'd be my prediction, because they wouldn't let him go forward. But if not then shortly thereafter, because the New York courts will make quick work of it. But notice, the judge already told the DA respond tomorrow, and he chastised Trump for waiting till the eve of trial to bring it. It had been waived. So I think he's got every intention of making very quick work of it, and then we'll see if Trump can interest the higher courts in a quick look at it. Yeah, but I don't see this as a possible big delay. But it might be a quick trip up and down. And, you know, right now we're less than 2 weeks away from the...
Right. And who knows what's next week?
Maybe trial against the president.
Yeah, the dog ate my trial homework. The sun was in my eyes.
Right.
You tweeted Smith being far more aggressive in calling Trump out in Mar-a-Lago case for obvious purpose of delay in filing frivolous motions regarding immunity argument. That frivolous claim is offered for one transparent purpose: to delay the trial. I mean, no kidding. As everyone has said, no innocent person wants to delay their trial. But this is what he's trying to do in every single case, right? And I have to ask, so I think your friend Lisa Rubin said about Eileen Cannon may be the only judge who would even entertain Trump's newest argument about, that he was allowed to abscond with classified material, whatever he said.
So 2 points here. It's true. She just hasn't met an argument from Trump that she doesn't give her pause and want to take some time to consider and do an evidentiary hearing. But his calling out delay, you know, there's this kind of misconception out there that it's necessarily, and DOJ is a little skittish about it too. They're scared to say we really want to have this trial because the people deserve to know. That's a valid kind of public purpose, as opposed to we really want to have this trial because we want Trump to lose, which would be partisan and improper. But, you know, everyone is now, including Merchant in the New York case, Steph, saying this is all about delay, and all they are is putting the truth to what's in front of everybody's eyes. The tiptoeing has been because they don't want to confuse saying the public purpose and just knowing one way or another. If you're going to vote for Trump, fine, but knowing is different from a partisan purpose of bringing him down. But, you know, that's a bit of a nuance. But by now, you're right. Smith has blown through the nuance, saying this is delay. Don't let it happen more.